I'm leaving you for Jake. I've been seeing him for months. My wife smirked, thinking she'd won. I nodded calmly and replied, "That's fine. His wife's lawyer is on speed dial, and our divorce papers are already drafted." Her face went pale as she realized her secret was out. The Austin sun beat down on the soccer field, where Ryan Carter, a 35-year-old software engineer, clapped encouragement to a swarm of 6-year-olds chasing a ball. "Nice pass, Ethan," he called to his son, whose grin flashed as he darted past the defender. Parents on the sidelines cheered, some nodding at Ryan with respect. He'd been coaching Ethan's team for 2 seasons, showing up rain or shine, always with a plan to keep the kids focused and laughing. It was his way of anchoring their family and the community, a steady rhythm in a life that felt full but stretched. Ryan and his wife, Emily, had built something solid in Austin, Texas. Married for 9 years, they navigated the chaos of raising Ethan, 6, and Ava, 8, with a kind of practice teamwork. Emily, 33, ran a thriving yoga instruction business, driving across town to lead classes at studios or private sessions in clients' homes. Her schedule was flexible but relentless, often leaving her drained by evening. Ryan's job at a tech startup demanded long hours coding and managing projects, his phone buzzing with emails well past dinner. Their days were a juggling act, and as the kids grew, the gaps in their schedule became harder to fill. That's when they decided to hire a babysitter. They needed someone reliable to cover the after-school hours, to keep Ethan and Ava safe and occupied while Ryan debugged code and Emily guided clients through downward dogs. They didn't rush the decision. Ryan scoured online reviews, while Emily asked her yoga clients for recommendations. After a dozen interviews, they met Mia, a 24-year-old college student studying early childhood education at UT Austin. She walked into their living room with a calm confidence, answering their questions with a warm smile. Her references were impeccable: a summer camp counselor, a part-time nanny for professors' kids, and she had a knack for explaining complex things simply, like how she'd teach fractions using Lego bricks. The kids took to her instantly. On her first day, Mia knelt to Ethan's level, challenging him to a card trick showdown, her laughter filling the air as he fumbled to shuffle. Ava, more reserved, watched from the couch, clutching a sketchbook. By the end of the week, Mia had coaxed her into building a pillow fort, complete with a secret entrance Ava proudly designed. "She's like a big sister," Ethan declared one night at dinner, and Ryan exchanged a relieved glance with Emily. Mia was a godsend, slipping into their routine like a missing gear, keeping things smooth when their work pulled them in opposite directions. For Ryan, Mia's presence meant he could focus on a looming deadline for a new app launch without worrying if Ethan's homework was done or Ava's art supplies were restocked. Emily, too, leaned into the extra flexibility, booking evening yoga sessions to grow her client list. Mia arrived promptly at 3 p.m. each weekday, her backpack slung over one shoulder, always with a small bag of snacks: goldfish crackers for Ethan, apple slices for Ava. She helped with math worksheets, refereed sibling spats, and even swept the kitchen floor when the kids spilled juice, though no one asked her to. "She's practically family," Emily said one evening, and Ryan nodded, grateful for the stability. Weeks passed in a comfortable blur. Ryan's team hit their project milestones, and Emily landed a contract with a high-end gym downtown. The kids thrived, their chatter about Mia's latest games filling the dinner table. One Saturday, Ryan took the family to Zilker Park, where Ethan and Ava raced across the grass, Emily snapping photos while Ryan pushed a soccer ball around. To anyone watching, they were the picture of balance, a family that worked hard and loved harder. But beneath the surface, small ripples were forming, too subtle to notice at first. Mia started lingering a moment longer when handing over the kids' backpacks. Her usual brightness dimmed. Once, Ryan caught her staring out the window, her fingers tapping restlessly on her phone. "Everything okay?" he asked, but she flashed a quick smile, blaming a tough exam. Emily didn't seem to notice, too caught up in her growing business, but Ava's comment one night stuck with Ryan. "Mommy's always on her phone when you're at work," she said, coloring a dragon with fierce focus. Ryan chuckled, assuming it was client calls, but the words lodged in his mind like a splinter. He didn't know it yet, but that fleeting observation was the first thread to unravel the life he thought was secure. The truth was waiting, hidden in whispered calls and Tuesday afternoons, ready to shatter the facade he'd built with care. For now, though, Ryan clapped as Ethan scored a goal, unaware that the game he thought he was winning was about to change forever. Ryan's phone buzzed on his desk, a notification from his team about a bug in the app's beta release. He rubbed his eyes, the glow of his monitor blurring after hours of coding. It was a Tuesday, and the Austin skyline sparkled outside his office window, but his mind was half at home. Ethan had a soccer game this weekend, and Ava needed a new sketchbook for her art class. Mia would handle it, he told himself, her reliability a quiet comfort amid his workload. But Ava's words from a week ago, about Emily's constant phone calls, gnawed at him, an itch he couldn't quite scratch. At home, Mia arrived at 3 p.m. sharp, her backpack lighter than usual. She greeted Ethan and Ava with her trademark enthusiasm, pulling out a deck of cards for Ethan's daily trick challenge. But her energy felt forced, her smiles quick to fade when the kids weren't looking. She'd noticed things she couldn't unhear. Emily's phone calls, always on Tuesdays, always hushed, had become a pattern. Last week, Mia overheard her on the porch, voice low, saying, "I'll be there soon, just wait." The call ended abruptly when Mia stepped outside to call Ava for homework. Emily's quick switch to a client-friendly tone didn't fool her. Mia wasn't one to pry, but the secrecy unsettled her. She'd caught Emily deleting messages, her thumb moving swiftly across the screen as if erasing evidence. Once, when Mia arrived early, Emily was already halfway out the door, claiming a last-minute yoga session. "Cover for me, Mia," she'd said, her voice clipped, not meeting her eyes. Mia nodded, but the request felt heavier than usual, like a secret she was being asked to carry. She told herself it was nothing, maybe work stress, but the doubt lingered. Ryan, meanwhile, was buried in deadlines. His startup's app launch was weeks away, and the pressure was relentless. He texted Emily during a break, asking about her day, but her reply was vague, busy, as always. "See you tonight." He frowned, sensing a distance that hadn't been there before. When he got home that evening, Mia was tidying up Ethan's soccer gear while Ava sketched at the kitchen table. Emily was still out, her yoga bag gone. She had a late class, Mia said, her tone neutral but her eyes flicking away. Ryan nodded, but Ava's earlier comment echoed in his head. The next Tuesday, Mia's unease grew. Emily left just after Mia arrived, her phone pressed to her ear as she slipped into her car. Mia caught a snippet of the conversation, same time, "Don't worry," before the door slammed shut. When Emily returned hours later, her cheeks flushed, she brushed off Mia's question about her session with Kurt. Went fine. Mia didn't push, but the air felt thick, like a storm was brewing. She started paying closer attention, noting Emily's Tuesday absences, always around 2 p.m., always back by 6. The pattern was too consistent to ignore. Ryan began to notice Mia's hesitation too. One afternoon, he came home early, catching her as she packed up. "You seem off, Mia," he said, keeping his voice light. "School stressing you out?" She paused, her hand on her backpack strap, then shook her head. "Just a lot on my mind," she mumbled, avoiding his gaze. Ryan let it go, but the exchange stuck with him. That night, Ava mentioned Emily's phone again. "She talks to someone a lot," Ava said, coloring a dragon's wings. "She sounds happy, but not like with you." Ryan's stomach twisted, but he forced a smile, ruffling her hair. "Probably just a client, kiddo." By the following week, Mia's discomfort was palpable. She overheard another call, Emily's voice soft and secretive, ending with a rushed, "I'll see you soon." When Emily left, Mia checked the time. 2:15 p.m., right on schedule. She debated telling Ryan, her loyalty torn between her role as a babysitter and the truth she couldn't ignore. She liked Ryan. He was kind, fair, always thanking her for staying late when Ethan begged for one more card game. But this wasn't her place, was it? Still, the weight of what she knew pressed harder each day. Ryan's own suspicions were growing. Emily's late nights were more frequent, her excuses vaguer. He tried to talk to her one evening, asking about her schedule, but she deflected, saying, "You know how it is, new clients keep me busy." Her tone was casual, but her eyes darted to her phone, which she quickly pocketed. Ryan didn't push, but the unease settled deeper. He started noticing small things. Emily's phone always locked, her sudden need for space after dinner. When he asked Mia if everything was okay with the kids, her hesitation was louder than her words. They're great, she said, but her glance lingered, as if she wanted to say more. The tipping point came on a quiet Tuesday. Mia arrived to find Emily already gone, a sticky note on the counter, back by 6. Thanks, Mia. Ava was at art club, and Ethan was napping, giving Mia a rare moment of silence. She sat on the couch, replaying the weeks of hushed calls and rushed exits. Her gut told her something was wrong, and the kids' innocent comments, Ava's especially, confirmed it. Ryan deserved to know, didn't he? But how could she tell him without breaking the family she'd grown to care for? As she wrestled with the decision, the front door clicked open. Ryan was home early, his laptop bag slung over his shoulder, his face tired but alert. Mia took a deep breath, knowing the truth was about to spill, and with it, the fragile balance of their lives. Ryan dropped his laptop bag by the door, the weight of a long day at the tech startup still clinging to him. He'd come home early, hoping to catch Ethan before soccer practice, but the quiet house told him he'd missed the window. Mia stood near the kitchen counter, her backpack half-zipped, her posture stiff. Her usual ease was gone, replaced by a tension Ryan couldn't ignore. "Kids okay?" he asked, keeping his tone light. Mia nodded, but her fingers tightened around her backpack strap, and her eyes flicked toward the floor. "Everything all right, Mia?" Ryan pressed, sensing the unspoken. She hesitated, her lips parting as if weighing her words. Then, with a slow breath, she met his gaze. "Ryan, I need to tell you something. It's about Emily." Her voice was steady but low, like she was stepping on a thin ice. Ryan's stomach tightened, Ava's comment about Emily's phone calls flashing in his mind. He nodded for her to continue, bracing himself. Mia spoke carefully, her words measured. "Every Tuesday, Emily leaves right after I get here, around 2 p.m. She's always on her phone before she goes, talking quietly, like she doesn't want me to hear. I've overheard things, phrases like 'I'll be there soon' or 'don't worry.' It's not client talk, Ryan. It's personal." She paused, her eyes searching his for a reaction. "She's gone for hours, always back by 6, acting like it's just another yoga session. But it's every Tuesday like clockwork." Ryan stood frozen, his mind racing to process her words. He'd sensed Emily's distance, her vague texts, her locked phone, her rushed exits, but he'd chalked it up to work stress. Now, Mia's words stitched those fragments into a pattern he couldn't unsee. "You're sure?" he asked, his voice low. Mia nodded, her expression apologetic but firm. "I didn't want to say anything, but it's been weeks. Ava's noticed too. She says Emily's always on her phone when you're not here." The mention of Ava hit hard. Ryan's daughter, observant and sharp, had seen what he'd missed. He thanked Mia, his voice tight, and told her he'd handle it. She grabbed her backpack and left, her relief palpable but tinged with guilt. Alone, Ryan sat at the kitchen table, the silence heavy. His instinct was to confront Emily, but he needed proof, something undeniable. His hands shook as he pulled out his phone, debating whether to call her. Instead, he waited, knowing she'd be home soon. Emily walked in at 5:50 p.m., her yoga bag slung over her shoulder, her usual smile in place. "Hey, you're home early," she said, setting her keys down. Ryan watched her, searching for cracks in her composure. "Yeah, got a break," he replied, keeping his tone even. "How was your session?" Emily shrugged, her answer quick. "Same as always. Busy day." She moved to the fridge, avoiding his gaze. Ryan's chest tightened, but he held back, needing more than suspicion. That night, after Ethan and Ava were in bed, Ryan waited until Emily plugged her phone into its charger and headed for a shower. He'd never checked her phone before. Trust had been their foundation, but Mia's words and Ava's observations left him no choice. His fingers trembled as he entered her passcode, one he knew from years of shared routines. He skipped messages, wary of tampering with evidence, and opened the Maps app instead. The location history loaded, and his breath caught. Every Tuesday for the past 2 months, Emily's phone pinged at the same address, 1427 Cedar Avenue, a condo complex downtown. Ryan's mind raced. He knew that address. It belonged to Jake Carter, a gym owner they'd met at a charity run last year. Jake, with his easy charm and constant invites to social events, had always seemed harmless, even friendly. Ryan had liked him, shared beers with him at a barbecue. Now, the red dots on the map, every Tuesday from 2 to 5 p.m., felt like a betrayal carved in data. He closed the app, his heart pounding, and set the phone back exactly as he'd found it. The shower shut off, and Emily's footsteps approached. Ryan sat on the edge of the bed, his mind a storm of anger and disbelief. When Emily appeared, towel drying her hair, she chatted about a new client, oblivious to the shift in the air. Ryan waited until she paused, then looked up, his voice calm but unyielding. "Why are you at Jake Carter's condo every Tuesday afternoon?" Emily froze, her hands stilling on the towel. For a split second, her eyes widened, but she recovered quickly, forcing a laugh. "What? Jake's? That's ridiculous." Ryan didn't flinch. "I check your location history, Emily. Every Tuesday, 2 to 5, 1427 Cedar Avenue. His place. Explain it." Her face paled, her excuses stumbling. "Maybe my phone glitched, or I left it at the gym with someone." But her voice cracked, and her eyes betrayed her. Ryan pressed, naming the dates, the times, the address. "It's not a glitch. It's a pattern." Emily's shoulders slumped, and she sank into a chair, her hands covering her face. After a long silence, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "It started after that charity event. Jake and I got talking, just about work at first. Then it became more. I didn't mean for it to happen, Ryan. He listened, made me feel seen. It's been 4 months. I'm sorry." Her words hit like a punch, but Ryan stayed composed, his anger cold and focused. "For months," he repeated. "While I'm at work, while Mia's with our kids, you're with him." Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't deny it. She mumbled apologies, saying she never meant to hurt him, that she still loved him. But Ryan heard only the truth. His wife had chosen someone else, week after week, in secret. The life he'd built, the trust he'd relied on, was a lie. As Emily pleaded, Ryan knew the confrontation was only the beginning. The real fallout was coming, and he was ready to face it. Ryan's voice was steady, cutting through the heavy air. "You need to leave by morning, Emily. I'm calling my lawyer tomorrow to start the divorce." Emily sat in the chair, her hands still covering her face, her shoulders trembling. She started to speak, her words a jumble of apologies and pleas, but Ryan raised a hand. "Don't. The kids are my priority now. We'll figure out the rest through the lawyers." He stood, leaving her alone in the bedroom, the door closing with a quiet click that felt final. Sleep didn't come that night. Ryan lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying Emily's confession. 4 months with Jake Carter, hidden behind yoga sessions and vague texts. The betrayal stung, but the clarity of what he had to do kept him grounded. Ethan and Ava needed stability, and he'd make sure they had it, no matter the cost. By dawn, he'd already texted his lawyer, a friend from college who specialized in family law, outlining the situation and requesting a meeting. He wanted the divorce filed quickly, with custody terms that protected the kids' routines. Emily packed a small bag before the kids woke up. She moved quietly, avoiding Ryan's gaze as he made coffee in the kitchen. "I'll stay at my sister's," she said, her voice flat. Ryan nodded, saying nothing. When she reached for the door, she paused, as if hoping for a last word, but Ryan turned away, focusing on Ethan's soccer schedule pinned to the fridge. The door closed, and Emily was gone, leaving a silence that felt both empty and necessary. Ryan set the kids down after breakfast. Ava clutched her sketchbook, and Ethan kicked at the table leg, sensing the shift. "Mom's going to live somewhere else for a while," Ryan said, keeping his tone calm. "But you'll still see her, and I'm here every day, okay?" Ava's eyes narrowed. She'd always been perceptive, but she nodded. Ethan asked if it was because of him, and Ryan hugged him tightly. "No way, buddy. This is grown-up stuff. You and Ava are my team." Mia arrived later, her presence a steady anchor. She took the kids to the park, giving Ryan space to call his lawyer and confirm the divorce filing. Emily, at her sister's apartment, tried to hold herself together. She texted Jake, hoping for support, but his replies were short, dismissive. "Busy today, talk later." She called him, her voice shaking, but he didn't pick up. Desperate, she drove to his condo, only to find him leaving with another woman, his arm around her casually. When Emily confronted him, Jake shrugged, his charm replaced by indifference. "It was just a thing, Em. You knew that." The words hit harder than Ryan's cold resolve. Jake had never cared. He'd used her, and now he was done. Emily drove back to her sister's, alone, the weight of her choices settling in. Ryan, meanwhile, focused on the kids. He adjusted his work hours, cutting late nights to pick Ethan up from soccer and help Ava with her art projects. Mia stepped up, sensing the fragility of the moment. She kept Ethan busy with card games and helped Ava sketch a dragon for a school contest, her calm presence softening the transition. Ryan noticed her effort, thanking her quietly one evening. "You're keeping us together, Mia," he said. She smiled, but her eyes held a trace of guilt for sparking the confrontation. Ryan shook his head. "You did the right thing." His lawyer moved fast, drafting papers that gave Ryan primary custody while allowing Emily regular visits. Ryan insisted on keeping the kids' school and activities unchanged. Ethan's soccer games, Ava's art classes. He met with Jake's wife, Lauren, a sharp marketing exec he'd met at the charity run. Over coffee, he shared what he'd found, keeping it factual. The location data, Emily's confession. Lauren's face hardened, but she thanked him, already dialing her own lawyer. Ryan didn't ask what she'd do. He'd done his part, and the rest was her call. Emily tried to reach out, texting Ryan about working things out, but he kept responses short, redirecting her to the lawyer. Her visits with the kids were polite but strained. Ava asked why she left, and Emily struggled to answer, mumbling about needing space. Ethan stayed quiet, clinging to Ryan more than usual. Emily's guilt grew, but so did her isolation. Jake stopped responding entirely, his social media showing him at bars, unbothered. Emily realized too late that she'd traded her family for a fleeting distraction, one that vanished when the secrecy did. Ryan leaned on routine to rebuild. He coached Ethan's team, shouting encouragement as they won a close game. He framed Ava's dragon sketch, hanging it in the living room where she could see it daily. Mia, still a constant, noticed a shift in him, a quiet strength replacing the shock. The divorce papers were served within days, and Emily signed without a fight, her signature a silent admission of defeat. Ryan didn't gloat. He didn't need to. The truth had dismantled the lie, and now he was building something real for his kids, one steady step at a time. Ryan stood on the sidelines of Ethan's soccer game, shouting encouragement as his son sprinted toward the goal. The Austin sun was high, and the crowd's cheers mixed with the kids' laughter. Ava sat nearby, sketching players in her notebook, her focus unbroken even as Ethan scored. Ryan clapped, his heart lighter than it had been in months. The divorce was finalized, the papers signed, and a new rhythm had settled over their lives. Ethan and Ava were thriving, and Ryan was finding his footing, not as the man who'd been betrayed, but as the father who'd chosen truth over illusion. The custody agreement kept things steady. Ryan had primary custody, with Emily visiting every other weekend. He'd worked hard to shield the kids from the fallout, keeping their routines intact. Soccer for Ethan, art club for Ava. Mia, still their babysitter, was a quiet force in the transition. She'd sit with Ava, helping her draw dragons with boulder lines, or challenge Ethan to card tricks, distracting him when he misses mom. One afternoon, Ava showed Mia a sketch of their family, just her, Ethan, and Ryan. "Mom's not here anymore," Ava said matter-of-factly. Mia nodded, hiding her sadness, and suggested adding a soccer ball to the drawing. Emily, now in a small apartment near her sisters, faced the consequences of her choices. Her visits with the kids were regular but strained. Ethan was polite but distant, answering her questions with one-word replies. Ava, more direct, asked why she'd left, her eyes sharp with a child's clarity. Emily fumbled for answers, blaming work or needing time to think, but the truth hung unspoken between them. She tried contacting Jake Carter one last time, leaving a voicemail that went unanswered. His social media showed him at a gym opening, arm around a new woman, his life untouched by the wreckage he'd helped create. Emily saw it for what it was. Jake had used her, a fleeting thrill that meant nothing once exposed. Ryan, meanwhile, rebuilt with purpose. He cut his work hours, leaving the office by 5 p.m. to pick Ethan up from practice or help Ava with her latest art project. He reconnected with old friends, joining a weekly trivia night at a local bar, where laughter came easier than it had in years. Coaching Ethan's team became his anchor, each game a reminder of what mattered. One Saturday, after a win, Ethan ran to him, beaming, and said, "You're the best coach, Dad." Ryan hugged him, the words healing a wound he hadn't realized was still raw. Mia's role grew beyond babysitting. She noticed Ethan's quiet moments and taught him a new card trick to lift his mood. With Ava, She shared stories of her own childhood, helping her process the change without pushing. When Mia got accepted to a teaching program at a local elementary school, Ryan congratulated her with a small gift, a set of colored pencils for her classroom. "You've been our rock," he told her, his gratitude genuine. Mia smiled, promising to stay in touch, her bond with the family rooted in care, not obligation. Emily's life, by contrast, felt hollow. Her yoga business slowed as word of her affairs spread among clients, her reputation frayed. She saw Ethan and Ava every other weekend, but their closeness had faded. Ethan stopped sharing stories about soccer, and Ava's hugs were quick, perfunctory. Emily tried therapy, hoping to rebuild herself, but the sessions only underscored her isolation. Jake's absence was a constant reminder of her mistake, a selfish choice that cost her the family she'd taken for granted. She wrote Ryan a letter, apologizing again, but he didn't respond. His silence wasn't cruelty, it was closure. Lauren, Jake's wife, had acted swiftly after Ryan's tip. She filed for divorce, her lawyer uncovering Jake's pattern of affairs. The gym he owned lost clients as rumors spread, his charm no longer enough to save him. Ryan heard about it through a mutual friend, but felt no satisfaction. Jake's downfall was his own doing, not Ryan's goal. His focus stayed on Ethan and Ava, on building a home where trust, not routine, was the foundation. Months later, Mia invited Ryan and the kids to her first school art show, where her students' work hung proudly. Ava beamed, pointing out her own dragon sketch displayed nearby, a gift to Mia. Ethan, clutching a soccer ball, challenged Mia to a quick card game, their laughter echoing. Ryan watched, grateful for the stability they'd found. The pain of Emily's betrayal hadn't vanished, but it no longer defined him. He'd learned that security came from facing hard truths, not avoiding them. As they left the art show, Ava slipped her hand into Ryan's and Ethan ran ahead, kicking his ball. The evening air was warm, the Austin skyline glowing in the distance. Their house, once heavy with secrets, was now a place of small victories. Homework done, games won, sketches framed. Ryan knew life wouldn't be perfect, but it was honest. And that was enough.